Welcome to The Agenda. My name is Abiodun Famujura. In today's episode, we shall be looking at a very important subject, talking about government and vitals. And the subject for discussion today is myth and mystiques, certain perceptions that have been allowed to run for a while and have become somewhat of a reality. But is there any truth in this myth or this myth? Is there any validation or validity in this conversation? Joining me in the studio today is a good governance advocate, a passionate Nigerian, and in my personal estimation, a patriot, FEMI OYEWUNMI. You're welcome to The Agenda.
Thank you so much. It's good to be back again.
It's great to have you.
Thank
Welcome.
you very much.
Joining me all the way from America is a gentleman that we've had on this platform before, and he is passionate. He has worked in the Big Five. He has worked in a startup, and now he's doing phenomenal things in America. A Nigerian at heart, Vincent ADEOBA. Welcome to The Agenda.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's nice to be back on the program again.
Thank you very much, Vincent. We'll go into it, and I'll be starting with you, Femi. There are myths about Nigeria, Nigerian political system in general. For perspective, let me share with you, all politicians are the same. That is a myth. All politicians are thieves. That is a myth. Nigeria cannot change. Those expressions, you find people making those statements. We're not going to consider whether they are derogatory or offensive. We know in our heart that they question the validity of our nationhood or our being. But I must ask you this sincerely. Are there truth to this myth?
Sure. I will say yes to that. And my position will be that we need to face reality. I've read a couple of articles around the state of the nation, and sometimes it breaks my heart because it seems like we are hopeless. But the truth is that we are not done yet. If you check the kind of government we run, you will realize that political ideas differs. So when you say all politicians are the same, they are not the same because of their ideology. We have different people in the last 23 years of our democracy, people who have come up with different ideologies. I think what has happened, what has prevailed so much, is that you have found a corrupt system that is more laudable than people who have the true ideology. And if you check that with an average Nigerian on the street, a system that is corrupt in bringing the person into power, obviously is going to produce a corrupt
individual.
Yes, absolutely. So it is not generally that we have all politicians being the same or our political system is eroded by corruption, but we have seen the highest number of these people, playing in the place of power.
Interesting. Vincent, thank you so much for that, Femi. Vincent, can Nigeria change? Can Nigeria be better?
Of course, it is possible. We have in history that nation evolve over time. Nation go through different stages before they're able to build a society that they are all proud of. I think the challenge in Nigeria is that we stay too long in an era of what I will call stagnation. And I mean stagnation in terms of both political and economic development. But over the time, I said we just want to be, just want to fabricate lies. Nobody will say Nigeria is not making progress. The challenge is the progress we are making cannot keep us at the same with countries across the world that have similar challenges that we are currently facing a few years ago. So we are making progress, but I believe we can do more. And as the people know, we can change, we can build Nigeria to a country that we want it to be.
Thank you very much, Vincent. There is a question. You said that the politicians are not all the same because they have different ideology. How many politicians have done exceptionally well? How many? What is the statistics of those who have done exceptionally well, distinguished themselves, left office honorable in an honorable manner, and we can still point to them as reference within the last 23 years? Do not go to the first or the second republic. How many do we have in that
Unfortunately, we are not scoring a good mark in that regard, because the truth be told, if you take a look down the line 23 years, you realize there are only few people you can actually point to. And in a statistic that you're scoring maybe a 20%, 80 to 20, you can generally say that we're not doing so well. But the truth is that we have found some certain numbers of people. I don't want to mention them on the call. There are people who have come, gave their life, gave everything they have for this nation to bear where that state is. Some have been, taking people out of poverty in their state level. I don't want to speak at the federal level because we have not seen so much change at the federal level, but we have seen some individuals who have come to make a statement in their own little way. One of these general opinion is that a man cannot make a change, and it's wrong, because those people have left a statement which has given some of us hope to say we can also, go in this direction of what these people have actually done. I mean, policies that have totally changed the system in their states. I don't want to really mention names, but people who have genuinely, go into unemployment and eradicated unemployment at their own level. But again, when you don't have continuity, it's really difficult to say, oh, this is where we are with people who have different ideologies. I think what we need to start thinking differently is we have people who have genuine change for this nation, but we need to do a lot of education to open the eyes of people to see that there is hope even in this darkness. And then you start seeing a lot of new pyramid changing, like you said, changing the narrative of people who are not going to follow the order of the day. Because if you look at the entrance into governance currently is very expensive. You do a lot of vote buyings and all of that. If I have spent a lot of money,
vote buying.
If I've done a lot in doing that, when I get into government, the first thing I want to do is to mop up as much as possible.
But Femi, it is alleged. I have not found anyone who has been convicted.
Because people have not gone to courts. That's the truth. But we know the other day, check the recent elections, even the ones that I said is a game of two of the bad that we are celebrating. You can see video evidences, you can see a whole lot of evidence, but when you get to that court, have you checked the judicial system? Is it sane enough to follow through? No, that's not the case. So you find a lot of things going down the line in onboarding people into leadership. And those things are the things we need to address if you really want to see a country that works.
Femi OYEWUNMI, the trajectory of your conversation is taking me to the next question. And it doesn't promote joy in my heart. This myth about Nigeria, the state of the nation, promotes some dimension of hopelessness that gives birth to complacency. And when people are complacent, they get to a direction where the implications are evident. For example, you are driving in your car, you've eaten something, and you decide to throw the wrapper out of the window. But you say to yourself, I want to be different. And within a short, less than 1 kilometer, you kept the wrapper in your car. 3 other cars have thrown theirs out of the window. You get to a traffic light, it is red, and the cars behind you are hooting their horn, insisting that you move even though the light is showing red. How do we correct this narrative? What are the implications and how can we address it? Vincent, I'm going to start with you and I come back to you. Because the myths promote complacency. Why should I be good in a nation where corruption and bad things are more pervasive? Why should I be the exception? If everybody is doing, why can't I just join them and take part of my national cake? Vincent.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you. So the narrative we've been building over time is that it's actually very difficult to do the right thing in Nigeria. But at the same time, we cannot deny the fact that we have few people that are doing the right thing. But even these few people that are doing the right thing, do we really provide platform for them, right, to use their story to inspire other people, right? But most time, the attention is always on the people doing the wrong thing. And that is why it is easy for people to think, oh, nobody is doing the right thing, right? So we need to create platform where we can also be churning out positive narrative about the country. We need to project people that are doing the right thing so that they can be inspiration to others. And like you said, right, politics, like we call it, right, is like a universal set of different subsets of every society, right? Politics we are talking about today, people are the politicians. These politicians, where did they come from? They have churches they attend, they have mosques they attend, they have family. So the problem we are facing as a nation today, some of this problem is started from our families.
The family system.
Yeah, the family system. So families are not disciplined enough, right? Some family are not, are not doing the right thing by teaching their kids the right thing to do.
And some are dysfunctional.
Yes, and that's why some of these kids, they believe if I do anything, I can get away with it, because even in my family, I've done several things wrong many times.
And I got away with it.
I'm getting away with it, and nobody's going to tell me that this is wrong. So we carry the same mindset to the general society. And that is one of the reasons why we are facing the problem we are facing as a nation today. So the problem needs to go back, to address this problem, we need to go back to families, right? Family ethos, characters like integrity, honesty must be part of our national conversation, and not just part of the national conversation. When we have people that are doing the wrong thing, they must also be punished, right? And that is why several times on different platforms I've advocated for capital punishments for people that are doing the wrong things. Somebody should not.
Mr. Vincent, did you say capital punishment?
Yes, capital punishment, right? It has been done in China.
As it is in China.
Yes.
Okay, Vincent.
And after you take them to court, you ask them to pay like 1% and go and negotiate. Negotiate for what?
All right, Vincent. We're going to take a short commercial break. When we come back, capital punishment, this is not China. But that raises a fundamental question about the correction that needs to be done. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. We'll be right back. This is the agenda. Before we went on the short commercial break, Vincent was talking about the consequences of indiscipline within the society, such that a correction he recommends is capital punishment. FEMI, OYEWUNMI. FEMI, capital punishment? How?
I share the same school of thought, and this has to speak.
You do know that capital punishment is sentencing someone to death.
Yes.
That is why it's called capital punishment.
Yes, absolutely. I'll give you examples of some of the nations that have succeeded in doing this. If you get to the Asian part, which he has mentioned some part of it, one of
China.
the places people want to visit today is Singapore. Throwing debt on the floor, go and check the price you're going to pay as a fine for that. There is even some with a physical flogging of those individuals. See, when you want to make a change, we must be prepared for everything that has to do with it. He was speaking about families. If you see different people, don't even talk about government. At home, when you find a child that has done something wrong, but you pampered that child, what you're telling that child is that you can do more. You can take a step further to do additional things, and then nothing is going to go wrong. Do you know some of these big people that we talk about encourage their children to go and tell them outside there, tell them who is your father? That kind of value system cannot help a nation until we begin to show the consequences that comes with any of those, decisions you have taken. We are not going to get to where I'm going. And this is what I want to say concerning this issue of complacency from the youth. If you stay away, already we have been excluded from the appointment, from the ministerial, or whatever you want to call in terms of leadership. One of the lies is that we are leaders of tomorrow. There is no tomorrow anywhere, because we are already part of that generation.
Interesting. So, when you step into tomorrow, it is never called tomorrow.
Yes,
it is called today.
Exactly. So there's no tomorrow anywhere. And you're not saying that you want to stay away from all of this. What is going to happen is, if you're not careful, when they are done, I'm talking about the age politicians. Yes, they are going to get their son involved. When their sons are tired, they are going to get their maids involved. So the implication is that you are just going to be ruled by this same set of people. We are going to come back another year talking about the same problem. What do we need to do in addressing this? We need pure education to let people know that there are so many ways you can contribute to this, and lend your voice, speaking up. People say that vote is not done on social media. Osun State just passed. There was a young man who has a lot of influence on social media. He started speaking on that social media. People who do not have voters card in Osun State started speaking and influenced the people in Osun State. Now, if you need that change, we need to start speaking about it. We need to start educating the woman who wants to take the 5,000 to go and buy that vote, to let her know that 5,000 is going to become a problem in 5 years' time. We need to get them on board.
I'm going to ask Victor a question. There is this disdain. There is the hopelessness situation and scenario. How do we go from doubts to become reference for influence and game changers? Now, understand this. We're talking about breaking the myth of governance, breaking the myth of leadership, breaking the myth of service. All politicians are the same. All Nigerians are the same. We already have game changers in the tech space, in the sports world, in the entertainment world. We haven't made mention of certain names, but let's mention one or two. And it's interesting that we have to mention these names. Toby Amuson. I mean, she dazed the entire world. She shook the world up. And some people, they did not see her coming. When she did what she did, they tried to wish her away. But the question is this: why should we only excel in those areas and not excel in leadership within our country? Many years ago, we had a lady. She went into an industry that dealt with food and drug administration in Nigeria, Dora Akunyili. She changed the face of drug and food administration in the nation Nigeria. I don't know what that organization is doing right now. How do we become references of influence and game changers in a positive way that motivates others? Not just in the social media space of entertainment. Because right now, the bulk of influencers are in the entertainment space. Those in the tech space are doing what they can do. They're not as many. Nigerians are closing out festivals all over the world, closing down stadiums. What do we do to become influencers and game changers of a narrative that motivates, that encourages, that uplifts? Vincent?
Yeah, thank you. Important question. I always tell people, you cannot pray a nation into good governance.
You cannot pray a nation into good governance.
And you cannot advocate a nation into good governance. Right? People must organize, and at the same time, they must mobilize. And this mobilization must start from the grassroots. There are many examples that we can cite. One of them is Pakistan. The problem of Nigerian youth is we always give efforts. We only put in the right effort, but most time, the challenge is effort without strategy, right? Regardless of your effort, if you don't have a strategy, you cannot achieve your results. Recently, I did an analysis. At the moment, across the 36 states in Nigeria, we have 1,497 major elective positions. 1,497. I'm excluding the local government, right? Because we all know what the state government has done to the local government. There was a time that the local government was an independent, tier of governments. But today, right, they are more like an appendage of the state government, right? Out of this 1,497, the executive position out of it is just 37. 37, we have one president, right? We have 36 state governors. The remaining are the legislators. In the state across Nigeria, the 36 states, we have 991 legislators. At the federal, we have 109 senators. And at the House of Rep, we have 360 reps. Now, I tell young people, you have no business for the next 8 years trying to unseat any governor or the president. We cannot do it. One, it is very, very expensive. Two, we don't have the structure. And over time, I've preached it several times, we can only overwhelm these people from the bottom. The problem of Nigeria is not even the executive, it is the legislators. And young people need to start mobilizing from the grassroots. If Nigerians can say, oh, in this 2023 election, we don't want to be the president, We don't want to be the governor. We want to occupy 10% or 20% of the seats in each state of the country, House of Assembly. Then we are going to be able to consolidate on that in 2027. Within a short period of time, we have structures across all the 36 states. And it is at that point in time that you cannot say you are putting somebody forward for the post of presidency and you are putting somebody forward for the post of governor. And I'm telling you, right, there's some consistency in Nigeria today that for you to get to the House of Rep or State House of Assembly, you need less than 5,000 votes. You need less than 5,000 votes to get into House of Rep or State House of Assembly. These are the place where the youth can play without spending too much resources. But our problem is we always want a miracle. We want a third force that we want to build without strategy. There's a party in Pakistan now, right? They call them the Pakistan Tehreek Insaf. This party got into politics in 1996. When they started, they only won a seat in a village in 1996. A seat in a village. But because they had strategy, because they had vision, because they know that we need to build this thing within a time, it's not going to happen as a miracle. They were consistent. They kept on consolidating on their sources. And in 2018 rather, a party that won a seat in a village in 1996 ended up forming the federal government.
Fantastic.
Right? So those are the strategies we need to deploy. And that is why the third movement that we are building at the moment, we are only joking. This third movement is not going to produce the result we want because there is no strategy in place. Because he's only running for the post of president. But if there's a young guy like my age in my village that is contending for the state of for the House of Assembly, it is going to be an incentive for young people to go to their rural community and begin to mobilize and get involved.
Vincent.
It is this community mobilization that will now consolidate on over a period of time to rescue the nation. We are doing a lot in terms of effort, but we lack approach and we lack strategy. And without the right strategy and approach, I can tell you, nothing will change. The third movement, regardless of the effort we put in, will never produce the result.
Vincent ADEOBA, you have spoken like a king and a true patriot. I can see the passion coming out through you. Effort without strategy will produce no result. We must organize. And you've said something very profound about the State House of Assembly. Thank you so much. Femi, I need to take the last word from you. A word of encouragement to all the young persons out there. We've debunked the myth. Not all Nigerians are the same. Not all politicians are the same. Nigeria can change. But Vincent said something very profound. We must organize correctly. We have misplaced priorities. What is your last word for every young person, for every older person who has not been involved? What are you saying to them as we round off?
All right. So I will put this together. I want to encourage everyone who is doing a lot in their space to bring in that excellence into governance. We have a lot of people who are getting awarded around the world, doing exceptionally well. If you don't bring that into governance, soon enough, what you have built will be tampered with because a foolish man will soon come and disrupt what you have built for many years. Now, can I talk to the younger generation? Your ignorance of exclusion should end because the older generation has already excluded you from this old political arena. What do you need to do now? You need to explore into governance, understand what is being played and find your role because there's so much to be done, not just in the executive space, like he has just mentioned, not just in the legislative space. There are, even in the civil society, societies that we have, there's a lot where you can play your own role and advocate your voice. Make sure you are on board. Make sure you are not tired until we see the change that we desire because the change starts from you. Thank you very much.
Wherever you are, you have heard young men speak, young Nigerians speak. What are you doing? The end of life is not knowledge. More importantly, it is taking action upon what you have heard. We've debunked the myth. We've debunked the perceptions. And we're telling you that Nigeria can work. We have all it takes to work. So you do not fold your arms and sit back and say, will Nigeria ever work? What role are you playing? It is time for you to rise. Do not look at the presidency. Do not look at an office position and say, until we get there, if only we get there, there are other places we can get to. You have heard, with 5,000 votes or less, you can be in the State House of Assembly or in the Federal House of Assembly or the Senate. It is time for us to take action. My name remains Abiodun Famujura. This has been the agenda, and this is the agenda. We'd like you to connect with us on all our social media platforms. Wherever you are, engage us. Give us feedback. Let us know how you feel, but take action in your local community. Let the story that you carry be different so that you can tell your children, I did my part. Till I come your way next time, have faith in this nation. We will get there. Bye for now.